Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, we live.
my bad.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Let me cut this mic off. I'll cut the mic off. All right, you about ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Calvin Medlock here with National League Ball. Restart that. Calvin Medlock here with National League Baseball Club. Today we're going to get into pitching. Okay. Today I have my guy Patrick Tate, that's a coach within the program, and he's going to be alongside me today as we talk about pitching and kind of help close that gap as to what the youth baseball uh, players should kind of keep in mind when trying to become a complete pitcher, trying to be able to dominate pitching at your youth levels and then leading into high school and college. Of course, if you are blessed enough to play pro ball, hopefully you can take some of these things to kind of prolong that career, especially on your arm care side. So, Pat, as we get into this, what are some of the things that you see first from youth pitchers? That's I'm gonna say first the positive,
Mm-hmm.
and then let's talk about the negative because like I got I don't know why I'm gonna say this, but I'm gonna say this. Like I got Pimp C say, we gotta talk about both sides, the
Yeah.
good
And
and the
the
bad.
bad.
So what you got?
Let's talk about the good first. Um, the guys have some live arms. A lot of youth guys have live arms, and they mean well and they work hard. But sometimes I think in their preparation, they don't understand how to control it, and that's what makes you a overall great pitcher.
Correct.
And the negative would be they don't cherish their gift a lot. So they don't. When I mean cherish it, they don't take care of their arm.
Mm-hmm.
They don't warm up correctly. They don't. They don't understand the importance of running
Mm-hmm.
and in that nature. And that's my take.
So for me, when I talk about the positive and the negative of pitchers, the positive that I'm gonna say is I think they have a very they have the mindset of wanting to be a good pitcher. So
Yes.
that's the first step. So we'll talk about that. I think they also, from a positive, um, I'll probably say 75 of the kids that actually pitch, they have a want to pitch.
Mhm.
So that means they have a drive.
Mhm.
I think the negative is when things get hard, they lose that drive fast. Pitching
Mhm.
is the hardest thing to do.
Mhm.
Pitching is that one thing that when you do it, you're on that island solo.
Mhm.
When you ain't throwing strikes, everybody see that.
Everybody.
When you striking everybody out, everybody see it.
Yes.
Now, this is the thing. When things not going right, I want to know which pitcher is going to show up. Because for me, I pitched, of course, I pitched well. Uh, I never had an off season, so I never knew what failure was pitching until I got to AAA and I had to figure some things out.
Okay. Okay.
That was the hardest part for me, mentally.
Mhm.
And so once I learned, okay, when I come back home for the off season, I got to get back in the lab and I gotta work on my weakness.
Mhm.
So let me identify my weakness, and I'm about to overwork to get better at it
Mhm.
week in and week out. I feel like kids these days, the biggest negative is they don't want to work on the negative.
Mhm.
They want to focus on, man, I can do this well. Well, that's fine, but you still got to throw a changeup.
Mhm.
You still got to work on your breaking ball because it has to get tighter. Now, when we talk about that, it's not just all about throwing. You got to work on strength work. And the biggest issue that I see is nobody wants to work on that part. So if you don't want to work on that part, then, to me, I feel like you are pretty much wasting a lot of time, you know, not focusing on your weakness.
Mhm.
So now we go these 2 months and you didn't focus on your weakness. Now your strength is still your strength, but your weakness is still your weakness.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing from the off season, what I can try to tell pitchers is with the negative and positive. And each pitcher can take whatever they think their negative and positive is, which is what we call goals. So now for me, when we go into what we try to do that's goal oriented is, and why they can't hear me here?
Make sure your mic on.
Man, these mics are on, man. I know. Oh, you know what?
Mhm.
Give me 1 second. I know what it probably is. There we go.
You got it.
Hopefully that fixed it. Okay. Revamp it into it. And so you can edit that part that I stopped at and restart. Talking to the editor.
Okay. I already got your editor notes. Yeah. I
Talking
already
to
see
the
that.
editor.
I already see that. And
So
all that.
so what we're talking about with the pitchers is understanding them breaking down their negative and positive, understanding that when they go through their negative and positive, you always want to work on your negative
Mhm.
the most in the off season. And that's the part that you want to make sure going into the off season that, okay, this is what I did in the season. This is what I did good. This is what I did bad. All right. Let me work on everything bad first. But then I'm still going to work on those things that I need to work on. And I think, when we talk about that in this segment is we're talking about it with the understanding of how to get better, how to progress as a pitcher to keep going further and further and further.
Yes.
Okay. So first thing that we're gonna dive into uh, is gonna be, I'll call it one-on-one pitching. Your pitcher's routine. That's huge. I think that is the biggest thing that you want to make sure as a pitcher that you always have a set routine. This routine when you getting into pitching, your pitching routine is the warm up, the play catch, the flat ground, the bullpen, your weekly workouts. Like that's your routine. Okay, you have to understand every time your week start, you got a routine. Don't deviate from it. The biggest thing about coming off a weekend, if you had an off weekend, is going to that next week mentally prepared to make sure that you're trying to get better grinding through. I think a lot of guys, they have an off weekend. They want to take the weekend off because, I call it butt hurt in your feelings, and that's the thing. If we have a good weekend, all of a sudden you want to work on Monday. If you have a bad weekend, let's go to work on Monday.
Same thing.
Like let's not change what we're gonna do based off of the results that we have.
Let's just work on what you work what we want.
You gotta stay consistent. I use that word a lot. I've been using that word since 2013, 12. Even when I played, my biggest thing was my workouts got to stay consistent because I want to be consistent.
Right.
And so if I want to be consistent, I got to make sure that, good or bad, I'm not going to deviate from my plan. I might add a little bit. I might be tired one week, but I'm still going to grind it through. Okay.
Yeah. Pitcher routine is key. Like I could go back to my playing days. You have to keep that same routine because if you deviate from that routine, then you're off. And once you're off, it's hard for you to get back on.
It's very hard, and I think from the side of when you're trying to look at certain things and get better, you always want to make sure that you're getting better at the things that you're not strong in.
Right.
That's from my eyes.
Yeah. And I also think that these guys at the younger age and moving on up, they don't understand the importance of flat ground. They just thinking you're just doing something. They don't understand that you're really working your mechanics and you're spotting up, hitting those spots where when you get in the game now it's muscle memory. So now you're going to that spot. Like you've always said, you could throw your fastball and your changeup in the same exact spot. And you worked on that and you worked on that. And I think that these kids, they don't understand the importance of being able to place that ball where you want to place it, when you want to place it there.
Yeah.
And throwing your off speed and your fastballs in the same spot.
Yeah. And so we'll talk about some other things. Pitcher's location with fastball, your front side, your hips, your front hip closed. Go look at glove side being closed. Keep your chest over your knee on the finish. That's a big thing. We talk about off speed. I think off speed has to always be down in the zone. Yes. Your release point has to be the same, under control. You want to be able to repeat it. One of the things about pitching is you have to repeat, and then pitching to your strength. That's one of the things that going into the off season as a pitcher, you need to know like what your strength is, and your strength is understanding what pitches work that game, understanding situations and counts, and that's what catchers also. That's where they tie in to the pitcher, understanding like the pitcher's strength, the count, the hitter, where they're in the lineup. Stuff like that. And then, of course, the changeup, you got to have balanced grip, no leg drive, and finish.
Yes.
You got to think we push off with our fastball. So, changeup, we don't want to use legs.
Gotcha.
So for me, becoming the complete picture with your mechanics. Um, for me, 14 through high school, I think it's very simple. I think for the most part, you got to command both sides of the plate.
Yeah.
In high school, your velocity from 14, excuse me, from 14 to high school, you got to be 80 to 93. Honestly, when I was coming up, you had to be like 85 to 95. Like that was, we threw it back in the day, you know.
Well, you got some guys, they running it up now. So, I mean, you could be like 85, 95. I was doing some looking on a PBR,
Yeah.
and they saying they're the top, those top guys, they run the 85, 95, running on into the hundreds.
No, I'm talking about average guys.
Average. Okay. Yeah. 80.
Yeah. I
80.
mean, 80 is still on the low side
Yeah.
for me. I think when I was coming up, the average, if you wasn't 85 to 90, you didn't pitch on varsity.
You came up in a special era. Okay.
No,
Y'all era was a little special.
I don't think it was special.
It was.
But I just think the mindset of pitchers, and I think the break
I had
time.
about 75 MLB players come out when you came out.
Nah, we had more than that.
Exactly. So
Yeah, we had more than that.
it's only like 5 from every area now.
Yeah, we probably had 5 or 6 pitchers, but we had a lot of position players.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you have movement, endurance. So endurance comes from conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
Now, most people say conditioning just the body. No, you got to condition your arm. You have to condition. When we talk about conditioning endurance, it has to be your arm. It has to be your legs.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be your mindset. Like you can't get tired on the mound and not be able to think. You can't get tired and all of a sudden your arm starts to drop. Everything, sometimes pitchers need to work in fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have kind of like a routine that I do with pitchers that's been pitching with me for a while is when we get ready for the season, I like to try to work them out a little bit and get them tired. And then we throw fastballs. Well,
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, when I get you tired, that's like the 4th inning for you,
Mm-hmm.
3rd or 4th inning. Maybe you just hit a double. Maybe you just did something like that. So from that side of things, what I try to do is I try to put in some type of fatigue to you. So now when you go out and throw your bullpen, you're not thinking. But now you're taking your time and now you're more focused, and because now you're tired, you're fatigued. So working off fatigue, that's going to help your endurance when you're throwing bullpen. From pitching 9U to 13U, I'm always say command away.
Yes.
And then I'm going to go with velocity, movement, and then endurance.
Yes.
That's something that has to happen.
With that movement, you more so with the changeup or a curveball or some type of breaking ball, or just regular movement.
Just regular movement.
Regular movement.
Yeah, that's if you throw a 2-seamer, because some kids are starting to throw 2-seamers.
Okay.
Changeup, that could be a movement pitch.
Mm-hmm.
9U, 10U, we're not throwing breaking balls. 11U, not really throwing breaking balls as well. Excuse me. Getting tired. Oof. So yeah, that's one of them things where you want to make sure that you kind of understand those mechanics to become a complete pitcher.
Yeah.
Balance over the rubber. Balance over the rubber. Your direction, glove side. We talk about your front side, back side, driving off, your finishing out front, and then of course the arm care. So for me, the complete picture, the first thing that's up there is you want to make sure that it's arm care, and I think with that being said, you want to make sure when we are looking at it is we're talking about the arm care. So from the arm care side, it could go a lot of ways.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be just band work. And I think a lot of people think just band work. No, you got plyo balls, you got weighted balls, you have weights, stuff like that. If you find a routine that works for you, that's going to strengthen your arm and make sure your flexibility is there. So arm care also involves stretching.
Yes.
We look at the strength and conditioning. That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Delivery mechanics. You got to be consistent in your mechanics.
Yeah.
And then we start talking about pitches of course, fastball, changeup, breaking ball, and then one of the most least talked about is controlling the running game.
Yes.
And so being a pitcher, if you are pitching and you are constantly high leg kick, stuff like that, at the higher levels, and when I speak on higher levels, I'm talking major, right?
Yeah.
These guys gonna steal. Like you can't throw out guys not slide stepping.
Right.
Like that's not how this works.
But also they need to also understand that in controlling the running game doesn't mean that you're giving an A pick move every time.
Correct.
Sometimes a step off, or sometimes a slow move. Hey, I'm just trying to keep you close. I know you. I'm not trying to throw you out. I just want to keep you close.
Yes.
To give my catcher a chance to throw you out.
Yes. Because once that runner shortens up at first and we slide step,
got him.
Just that little shorten up now allows him to get that ball out.
Yeah.
And that's where you get the out.
Mm-hmm.
And so when guys don't understand how to control the running game, to me, that goes back into endurance.
Mm-hmm.
Like mentally, you just mentally checked out. And so now mentally, you're not focused on the guys that are on base. And that's a part of your endurance.
Yes.
Mentally.
I also think when we put the complete picture up there, we need to put mindset up there. We got to put something with the attitude and the mind.
Mindset is makeup.
Yep. Oh, there you go. It's already up there.
Yeah. Mindset is makeup.
Because with the mindset and ability to bounce back from a hit is key.
Yes.
If I get hit off the wall, I'm coming back. I want to see you come back with that same four-seam fastball and paint it on the corner.
Yep.
Don't be soaking over the hit. On to the next one. And I think in high school all the way down into youth baseball, that's key. Because kids want to soak in the last play instead of moving on to the next. And with pitching, when your mind said, hey, you can't worry about that. You got to worry about throwing strikes and doing your job. Don't worry about the guy behind you not making a play or not catching that fly ball and all that, because that affects you.
Yeah.
That affects your mental. They go back into your endurance. That affects your mechanics, because now you're trying to overthrow and do something from the mound that isn't asked. And when you start overdoing things, they got you. They in your head, and you're not in their head.
Correct. And so one of the things that I like to hit on is, your bullpen routines. Here you see some pitching routines. Of course, the stretch is always in there to wind up.
Mm-hmm.
You see the flat ground routine, fastball routine. Pretty much you got to dominate that first before you start with anything else. One of the main things also is understanding off speeds. When you're doing off speeds, you have to make sure that you're always working down in the zone. Mm-hmm. You got to repeat your release point, and you want to make sure you stay under control with the off speed. A lot of times you see kids when they go out and throw off speed, they fall off.
Right.
Instead of staying straight and going toward the plate, they fall off. Now they're pulling and now the ball is not going to do what they want it to do.
Correct.
If you want the ball to do what you want it to do as a pitcher, you have to have body control.
But
pitching.
also understanding how your off speed is basically like you said, controlling under control, knowing your release point, and then also like we always say, you want to live down because if you're able to understand your off speed pitch, that makes you a dominant pitcher.
Correct.
Because you know where you want to put it and how you need to put it there, and it's gonna get there. Because you already know how it works. So sometimes guys do need to go out and throw off speed, but understand you're not just I'm just not here throwing curveballs. No, I need to or change ups. I need to know what this pitch does, how this pitch moves, where I need to release this pitch to get it where I want it to be across the plate.
Yeah, and then of course we're gonna dominate with the fastball.
Yeah,
and so. Dominate cross corner. That's literally wherever your arm is, you throw it to the other side of the plate. That's also going to help with reach and extension. Okay. Dominate the middle low.
Okay.
You can throw down the middle, but you got to throw low down the middle. And then work off the fastball. What I mean by that is when you're pitching and you can dominate your fastball, it opens up a lot of things.
Correct.
It actually opens up the high fastball, and then it's going to always open up that low breaking ball that's in the dirt. Because now if we can throw a high fastball and then throw a breaking ball in the dirt, I guarantee one of those pitchers, that hitter, he's going to swing.
Oh, yes.
And that's the part that we have to make sure that when we're doing that, you want to make sure that you're always dominating from that standpoint. All speed works off your fastball, which is exactly what I just said. Okay. And then your 4-seam versus 2-seam. Everybody can't throw a 2-seam. Most young pitchers are more comfortable with the 4-seam. And so some of those checkpoints, your front shoulder, your chin, your front hip stand closed, glove side pull to your chest. And
you're staying in your legs and driving.
Yes. Have to. With that.
Have to.
And then of course this is just some warm-up routines and band routines and med ball routines and stuff that you young players can always do in the process of trying to get stronger. Okay. And then we got some grips, some different grips. Your release point. Release should be out over the front of the nose. Your middle finger should be the last finger to lead the ball. I mean, it's one of them pitches that for me, I can tell you for me, I couldn't throw it, so I stayed 4-seam, and I threw a cutter. And so that whole thing is you want more pressure on that ring finger, and that's going to get that ball to cut that way out front.
Yeah, I threw a 2-seam, but I'm a lefty, so it kind of ran a little bit. It had a little movement to it.
Got it. In my videos, they
working?
No, they went off private. Okay, so let's talk about catchers real quick.
Okay.
And so for me, I'm real big on my catchers. I'm just gonna hit on it real quick. I think catchers are the backbone of any successful team.
It is.
I really don't care the level. I just think if you have a catcher that keeps the ball off the backstop, you're going to have a very high chance of winning a lot of ball games. If you look at the lower levels, and when I say lower levels, I'm talking AA, you see a lot of pass balls. A lot of pass balls. And you can score 10 runs and not get a hit.
Right.
I've seen that happen.
Yes.
And so I think it's very important that the pitcher and catcher relationship is one of those relationships that the pitcher has to trust the catcher. The catcher has to demand certain things from the pitcher. And so now when the catcher demands and the pitcher's trust, I think when all of that meets together and it's a healthy relationship, I feel like that now those what you call them counterparts,
Mm-hmm.
that pitcher and catcher, I think that's when most pitchers, that's when they elevate
Mm-hmm.
because now they trust
The
that
guy they trust the guy that they
throwing to. And so now that catcher,
Mm-hmm.
he gets more trust from the pitcher. Now he gets more confidence. Okay, so now when the catcher is out, I'm always say the catcher is always the vocal leader on the field. He has to be the extension from the coach.
Mm-hmm.
And
That goes from your catcher, shortstop, center fielder.
correct.
Yes, sir. But the catcher also has to be a guy, before we get too deep into it, that wants to catch. That's not an easy job that you sign up for.
Yeah, the higher you get, if you don't want to catch, no coach is going to put you behind the plate.
Right. But I'm just saying for the lower.
Yes, I mean, yeah, but even then, that said, it could be a non-U major. If a kid don't want to catch,
I'm not catching.
He gonna show you that he don't want to catch.
Gotcha.
The higher you get, if he don't want, he will show you that he does not want to be back there. So that's gonna be based on past balls. That's gonna be based on if he looked apart.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I try the kid and they say they catch, first thing I ask, you got your catching gear?
Mm-hmm.
And then they say no. I go, well, you're not a catcher.
Mm-hmm.
You play the position, but you're not a catcher.
Mm-hmm.
A catcher is like a carpenter that has his tools
on hand.
Like they can always do work.
Mm-hmm.
And so I take that position as, those guys, it's one of them things where you want to make sure that, when they go into things that they are always ready and they understand what it means to be a catcher. You're playing the hardest position on the field. The shortstop is playing the most demanding position on the field. The center fielder, he's more so the outside captain that's making sure everything in front looks right. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of how that works. It's kind of like a wave in, so instead of a wave out. It's like the center fielder, he's making sure, hey, he's late. All right, hey, we're gonna shake this way. Hey, you kind of let your shortstop kind of know, and you just talk. That's it. Giving signs.
Yes.
Let me tell you, the first thing I see on catchers to know if they've been taught is how they give signs.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm at third base and I can steal your sign, you best believe we steal it. Because if I see a 2 drop down and you only put a 2, I'm gonna see first what you're gonna throw.
Mm-hmm.
And if I see a breaking ball, and if I see it again, we steal it
for
the rest of the game.
Yes.
I'm gonna let you throw 1 so I don't get caught up. Because a number 2 could be a fastball up or whatever.
Away.
So I don't want to get caught up there. I think putting that glove over the knee, I think that's the best way to go about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, we want to make sure we block. Like, you want to be able to block the ball. Like that's one of the things that you want to make sure you can do well as a player.
Right.
And so we're going to dive into this video real quick. I'm going to fast forward a little bit so he can show you. But this is kind of one of those things where he's showing you where he wants to block, where his knees are going. And so now that's one of the things where you have to make sure you understand your direction of where the ball is going. What have you seen from youth catchers as we watch this video?
They lazy. They don't like to block the ball. They like to throw that glove out. All of them have the tools and the tools to do it, but they don't. because they're so comfortable with flicking that glove there and catching it. That's scoop. That's scoop. And but that just comes from being lazy at the end of the day and not just blocking the ball and squaring it up and keeping it in front of them.
Yeah. So do you think it's more so lazy, or do you think it's more so just them being held accountable to practice and work on it? Because I still feel that that position is one of those positions like you need to insert something to let them know I'm going to pull you if you don't keep the ball off the backside. So the one thing I need is easy. I need
Right.
effort.
Right. A lot of it.
Like if you giving me no effort to block the ball, then you telling me that you don't want to catch.
Right.
And it's very simple for me to get another catcher back there to catch.
Correct.
So I think the 4 keys to blocking: location of the ball, chin tuck, chest forward, follow the ball with your nose. Like that's tracking it. So wherever your nose go, you want your body to go.
Go with it. Yeah. Where your nose go, your body gonna follow.
Yeah. And then, transfer. We want to make sure that we stay short with it. We want to make sure our arm is on it. That's pretty simple. So that kind of concludes the pitching. We are going to get in the cage, and we are going to talk about pitching from the mound and catching, stuff like that. I think it's very huge that we understand what it means to become a great pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
The first step to me, I think, where it starts, I think it starts with your preparation. I think it starts with knowing your strength, your weakness, everything like that. I just think it's very important to push through knowing that everything that we're trying to accomplish as a pitcher, we want to make sure that it's done away from the field, it's done consistently away from the field, that your work ethic and your drive to doing that, I just think it becomes very important to understand the work ethic to become a consistent and to become a complete pitcher. And so thank you, Patrick Tate, for coming on today. As we talked about pitching, we mixed in a little catching. That was one of the things that I think I can always talk about catching. Right. Honestly, I think I can always pull in what it means to be a catcher, and to any program, to any team that has any type of success, I always say, just look at their catcher.
Yeah,
I guarantee they got someone that's doing it pretty good.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And I agree with you all the way on everything we talked about with the pitching, the catching, and things of that nature. And also, thanks for letting me come apart today, be a part.
That's it for National League Baseball Club. We're going to do this throughout the year, throughout the off season. Give you some tips. We're going to start doing tips of the day, tips of the week. What we saw over the weekend overall that we can kind of work and do better as a whole with the youth, and hopefully we can help curve youth baseball players to understand the game, and at the end of the day, understand their craft. Calvin Medlock here with National League Baseball Club, signing off.